Welcome back to R for Economics. This time we're going to talk about different ways that we can actually extract data from a data set, well, our data frame. So we've got our usual data frame, empty cars. We can just select this blank, and that's just going to give us back our data frame as X again. We can use a character string. So as long as it's the column names, so if we look at the names across the top, we have all these identifiers. We can actually use those to create a column, and this is a character vector string of this. If we print off just that, we can see this MPG, carb, and gear, and it's going to say, okay, I'm going to keep those columns. What do we get? X. Oh, and MPG, carb, and gear. So we're able to do that. We can also use a numeric vector. Well, our vector will be 1, 11, 10, and we can see that we keep MPG, carb, and gear, because if we go all the way back up and we count these out, 1 is MPG, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Right here, or 10, 11, is gear and carb. So we're able to keep these vectors. Now, what if we wanted to just remove those ones? We don't want those ones, they're terrible. So we can use negative signs to say drop these. So this is a way to drop a column. So now you can't see MPG, carb, and gear because they've been dropped from our data set. So this can be useful when you're cleaning up data and maybe you have an extra vector that you don't actually need. You can use logical names. If we do names, this gives us all the names of the empty cars. So we can choose which ones to drop. Well, we want to get rid of MPG, carb, and gear, and then we want to keep columns, names, car, in drop calls. And we're saying this is an exclamation point, so that means not. So we're going to not keep that. If we look at what Carl says, we're going to say MPG, gear, carb. So this first statement here is saying, is it in drop calls? And the answer is, well, yes, yes, no, 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 yes, yes. Well, then we put the not, so then we switched all that. So now we've got keep calls, and we should only keep the ones that are true, which are the not, carb, gear, and MPG. Now, this also works for rows. If we wanted to actually do rows, we can set this up and use logical things for that as well. So we want empty cars, horsepower, HP, greater than 100. Well, which ones are those? Well, that comes down to this size. Okay, so now we've got an X thing, which is 23 observations long, if we look at our environment variables, and 11 variables. So we didn't drop any columns at all, but we just dropped any cars that were less than 100. If we go back and look at empty cars, we can see that HP, this one, Datsun 710, is now excluded from our new X variable that we've just created by excluding the 100. Now we can do both of these at the same time, and we can say keep calls. I want to keep all those 4, and I also want to drop anything that's less than 100 horsepower. And there we go. Now we've only got 4 columns that we wanted, and we've got horsepowers that are all over 100. Great, and we'll see you in the next video.